to my channel. So as 2024 is coming to a close, I want to share with you 7 books that I actually enjoy reading. Just a little background, I'm actually not an avid reader. Majority of the time I spent years just studying or reading textbook for school. So it's really unique, and I have found tips to actually become a no reader to a reader. So I would love to share that and share with you 7 books that I enjoyed in 2024. So let's get right into it. So the 3 tips that I have consolidated to actually promote or encourage um, individuals to read books is one, to actually buy your own books. My older brother has a entire bookshelves of just of his own books and preferences, self-development, self-help books, and I thought that like, oh, it's so nice just to get it out of the shelves and without having to pay any money for my own books. Like I just get any books I like and just look at the cover and read. But actually that is a very very terrible steps, because it makes me not cherish the books that I actually get, and it doesn't makes me want to research about the books that I'm about to read. So buying my own books, I can actually cherish the money that I spent on the books. And second, I will actually, it's like a small investments that I contribute. So before doing any investment, obviously we need to do research. So I was able to actually research and find books, reading through about it, reading reviews online as well, to make sure that I actually enjoyed the books. The second tip is to set a goal. I actually set a goal to read 12 books per year, and I do track it very clearly. There's an app called Goodreads. If you are on it, please do follow me, and I will put it here. We're gonna follow each other. So I usually set a goals for myself, and it's really nice to be able to tick off the goals that you read, like a certain amount of books per year. I set it 12 books, but then I extended later on to like 15 books. There are a lot of books that are very interesting that I end up finishing within like less than a week. So in a month, I can actually read 2 to 3 books. So yeah, setting a goal really helps you to stay on track and actually help you become like an avid reader. And also besides that, I also set myself a goal to actually read 30 minutes at least every day. It is in my daily habit tracker, so I make sure that I also read books. And the third and probably the best tips that I would give is to actually pick a genre book that you really liked. My older brother reads only nonfiction, like self-help developments. But there will be days that I don't like to read nonfictions, or it's like I spend majority of my time working already. So the last thing I wanted to do is getting more information, like logical information in my head by the end of the night. So it's nice to just enjoy fiction book as well. And there's no problem with enjoying fiction, because I used to believe that reading fiction is only for teenagers or young kids, because that's what I read when I was younger. But then no, fiction book, there are a lot of interesting fiction books that you can read as well, and it's fine. It's a good way to escape the reality. And I have found some books that I really enjoyed, and obviously using social media as well. People post about books, and I research and read, and I actually like the blurbs, so I get them. So find books that you generally enjoy and you're excited to read really helps. And so now we start with this 7 books that I generally love in 2024. So I split this into both fictions and nonfiction books because I read both. So we start off with the nonfiction book. This is Why Men Love Bitches. It sounds very blunt and very straightforward. It is a very straightforward book and very lighthearted. And initially, I was not planning to read this book, but funny thing is, as mentioned, you pick a book based on your feelings, based on your preferences. And this book is actually the first book that I actually touch and start reading when I went through a breakup. So this is really interesting because it's straight to the point. It actually specifies like what you need to do. Do I believe in it? Not 100%, but it's very clear. Like it makes you understand the psychology of both men and female, and it gives you a solid real life examples that you can reference to. So I highly recommend, and it's a very light-hearted book with only like 250 260 pages, so this is an easy read. And also I read this book because as mentioned, this is the first book that I came across when I went through a breakup or the healing process. And during that time I just feel like, oh, I a little background is I feel like I sacrificed so much for the person, but why he didn't cherish me or why he didn't appreciate me. And so this book really distinguished between, excuse the language, bitches, or I would say a more mature, confident woman with a nice girl or good girl. And so it's really nice to get that two perspectives and to actually improve myself for hopefully for a new relationships. Another nonfiction book is this The Last Lecture by Randy Posh. He's a professor at Carnegie Mellon. So a little background is he's a computer science professor at Carnegie Mellon and was asked to give a lecture he didn't imagine to have, as it is his last lecture. He was diagnosed with a cancer. Like time was very precious to him. So reading this book is mainly from a first person perspective from the professor, and it's really nice that he actually highlights very useful tips. And I think these tips are very common, but especially to hear it from a person who only have a very short amount of time to live makes you cherish the moment, the present, rather than um, rather than regretting the past and then worrying about the future. So this books, there are some pointers that like some advice that he has, which is really really great. Like some key points that he mentioned that I actually enjoyed is all you have to do is ask. It's a very common advice, but if you don't ask, you don't get. And then there's a lot more. So I think that it's really nice to read. It's again a very easy, light book, but it has a lot of key informations and key advice from a very wise professor. So highly recommend. The third book, or the last nonfiction book that I enjoyed this year is the most common and popular book is The Alchemist. I think the ending, the blurb is pretty simple. To realize one's destiny is a person's only obligation. And I think obviously we all know the most popular quotes in this book is when you want something, all the universe conspires to help you achieve it. I think it summarizes this book very hugely, and I just love it. Like it's a way to discover your destiny, and to whatever you hope to achieve, you're able to achieve it. So really recommend. So the first nonfiction that I came across with is Love Hypothesis. This book was actually recommended by my own best friend, Jane. So this book is between two main characters, Olive and Adam. Adam is a very strict professor, and Olive is just currently a researcher in PhD program. And they apparently met each other coincidentally, and they fell in love. And what I really love about this book is that the relationship between the two characters gradually developed throughout the whole book, and their relationship is really like hot, like both literal and metaphorically, like literally and metaphorically. So, and also this book, besides that, not just only the theme romance as a whole, but there's also about friendships, there's also about betrayal. So, and there's also about like competitions. So it's all into one. I have read other Ali Hazelwood books, but the other books, the relationships was a little too fast and it's very one dimensional. But this one, I feel like there's a lot of themes to explore in this book. So I highly recommend. And if you're stumbling across like fiction, this is a good first book to read. And I think that a lot of people raved about this as well. And the second fiction books that I enjoyed or I actually stumbled upon, it ends with Us. please ignore the background. But it ends with us. How did I came across this was, I think that we have seen this movie came out, and I really really love like Lively. But actually, fun fact, I have actually not watched the cinema or the movie yet. But I think I got this book before the movie was released, so I was like, oh wait, hold up. So I just end up reading this because I finished The Love Hypothesis. So I end up this. It was really really good. Like I think if you really, for me, it's a romance book, or at least the books that I stumble upon, it is like a very hot book. And so the first, like probably like 3/4 of the book, it was very hot until the end. It kind of shifts your perspective, like psychologically. It's very dark, and it's just very different. So I think that the person that the main male character that you thought was a Prince Charming end up not being a Prince Charming. And he has all the criteria hits, like from educations, from family backgrounds, from finance, from everything. And then he becomes someone else different. It and then the dream of every girl kind of just crash and burn. And especially after the female character has her firstborn child. So this book is like has an interesting plot twist at the end. And yeah, I think that if you want a interesting plot twist, a dark plot twist, I think this book is good. So the third book is a fiction book, but surprisingly, it is not a romance book. It's actually a thriller. And I swear to God, this is really good. Like, this book is really good, and it is written from two different perspectives. One is from Nina, who is the husband's wife, and the other one is from Millie, which is the housewife. So a little background is Millie is actually has a criminal records in her profile, and she thought that she would not be able to get a job anywhere. And so when she applied to work as a housewife in Nina's house, she didn't expect to get it, but then Nina actually agreed and approved for her to work. And then during the time that Millie works in that household, she thought that Nina was the crazy ones because she has, according to Millie thinks that Nina had bipolar. But the plot twist was that Millie thinks that Andrew, who is a Prince Charming from the outside, actually a wackohead. So it's really interesting when the plot twist actually flips from, I think it splits after half of the book to Nina's perspective, because the first half was from Millie's perspective. The second half was from Nina's perspective, the husband's wife perspective, and it is so meticulous that she plans every single details and how the the housemaids got trapped into her plan. And let's just say the long story short is at the end, someone died, and it was such a traumatizing and very thrilling experience from reading this book. So if you like that exciting feeling, I think this is a good book to read. And I guess to save the best for last, this is actually the best book of all in 2024. The Fourth Wing. Like, I kid you not, I am dreaming about this book. I this the characters in here kind of just like in my head for days. Right now I'm actually better because I'm reading other books, but this book, it's so thick. But I finished this in like few days because it was just that good. So a little background about this book. I feel like this book is very similar to Divergent, if you have not heard of Divergent. So Violet is a 20-year-old who is very like physically looks very weak, and her mother signed her up to a kind of like a dragon riders group, where you have to battle your way in earning like the dragon trust, and then becomes a rider. And during that time, she actually a very powerful and very smart individual still there. And obviously she stumbled across Satan the description of Satan is very hot. I think their love chemistry just exceeded my expectations, and it was really nice as well, and it was really hot. And then the person that she has a really good best friend with Dane. Initially, the first book, I really liked Dane, but then afterwards, I just feel like he's a douchehead. And I actually in love with Satan, and I think the best part of it, I think there's several tiny bits of plot twists that you can expect throughout the book, but I think the biggest plot twist was at the end where I was like gasping because I can't disclose what's happening then. But at the end, I was gasping because it was just like, what the that I have to order the second series and it's on my way. So it's on its way here. So I cannot wait to read the second series. But if you have a chance, love, 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 highly, highly, highly recommend The Fourth Wing because it will definitely disappoint you. So I wish there's more series to this, and but it's a really good book. So, and that's a wrap of 7 books that I really loved in 2024. I really hope you enjoyed this video, and if you like more of this, I hope you give this video a huge like. And as 2024 is coming to a close, I really want to say thank you so much for your support and your love in 2024. I hope to come out with more interesting videos, sit down videos like this, and obviously also travel vlogs and other things. But if you have other comments, other feedback, please leave down in the comments, and please like this video, subscribe to my channel if you have not done so. And I really wish you have a prosperous, happy 2025. Happy New Year, and I see you soon. Bye now.